Look what I got. Part 1, Anna Nicole Smith. TikTok, I beg of you, please give me 10-minute videos. I will use my power for good. Please. Let's begin. I've had this for months. So Anna Nicole Smith's real name is not Anna Nicole Smith. It is Vicki Lynn Hogan. She was born on November 28th, 1967 at 3:15 in the morning. She is a Sag Libra with a midheaven in Cancer. She grew up in a small town, Mexia, Texas. Small town. All these publications say like, oh, she grew up so poor. She grew up impoverished, but her mom was deputy sheriff. Doesn't matter. Her dad was not in the picture. So she grew up with her mom, her aunt, and her cousins. Virgie, her mom, got pregnant at 16 with Donald. He left when she was very, very young. Her upbringing was described as very, very strict, but honestly, reading about this town, I don't think there was a lot for her to do. Because, like, there's a point in her biography where she says, for fun, I used to watch traffic. So, was it strict or, you know? Well, actually, I don't know, because in Miami, there's an island called Key Biscayne where my cousins grew up, and there was, like, nothing to do. So many times I'd walk to my car and there'd be an orange slushie on my car. So I think no matter where you are, kids will find a way. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much. There was also not a car wash on the island. Thanks so much. Anyway, Anna Nicole, Vicki Lynn Hogan, says that during her childhood, she was, trigger warning, abused physically and sexually. Apparently the most poppin' part of town was one street that they called the Drag, where people would just walk up and down drinking beer. Texas. But really it's described as just like seeing the same people over and over and over. Small town, you get the vibes. Vicki was apparently horrendously bullied, and because of this bullying, she dropped out of school in 10th grade. She was just like fed up, and she's like, you know what? I'm out of here. Peasy, be easy. She says that there was no movie theater, no fast food, seeing people every day, and seeing those people every day that bully you, she was like, I'm out, I'm done. So she started working at a fried chicken place, like a restaurant. She met the fry cook, Billy, when she was 17, and he was 16, and they started dating. And she got pregnant with Daniel, and they got married. Here's Billy and Vicki Lynn. I like Vicki Lynn. Vicki Lynn sounds like a good time. I'd go to the Drag with Vicki Lynn. You would too. She had Daniel when she was 18, and she told her friends, now that I have a baby, I can never be lonely. Anna Nicole Smith, part 2. So, at 18 years old, Vicki Lynn Hogan has her baby Daniel, because that was her choice. So of course, Taylor's oldest time, okay? Vicki and Billy start fighting. She leaves him, so she's a 10th grade dropout, single mom, whose only work experience is working at a fried chicken place. She tries working at Walmart, she tries working at Red Lobster, but it's not getting her enough income to take care of her and Daniel the way that she wants to. So she starts dancing. Anna Nicole, Vicki Lynn's friends say that she was still like very, very shy and extremely introverted, which is hilarious because we know her as, doesn't matter. And dancing for her, like she was so innocent that they, like her first night, they were like, you know, it's topless, right? She's like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you know, you gotta do the dance with the yits. And she's like, huh? So she starts making good money, but Houston is where the action is really happening, right? Houston is the first place to have like these massive gentlemen's clubs. Also, do you know that boob jobs, breast augmentations were developed in Houston, Texas? Okay. So she starts dancing in Houston, right? In this club called the Executive Suite. First she was a waitress, and then she moved on to dancing. And her peers, her colleagues at the time, have said that she was still extremely shy and she always wanted to blend in, but she was extremely tall. But it worked for her. Like men love this like Amazonian, you know what I mean? Okay, Vicki. So apparently she was not a natural, but the money was so good. She says that the first time she made $50, she was like, I can't believe I made $50. And she was hooked. She's like, she said she was driving home and she looked on her lap and she was like, that's $50. And she's like, and you know, back then $50 was a lot of money. Vicky Lynn, it's still a lot of money. Good for you. She's done interviews where she told reporters, back then I tell people I need to be the sexiest bitch in this place, okay? Because I have a son to take care of. I want to be the sexiest bitch anywhere, but I love that she had purpose for it. For me, it's just wants, desires. Yeah. So she started to notice that the girls who were bigger chested were making more money. So the boob jobs began. And it worked. And that's when she started getting real money. $51. I'm just kidding. However, her inner circle says that she always struggled with dancing. That she said that, like, every time I get up there, I disrespect my mother, my body, my son, which I think is a little dramatic because work is work, babe. Money is money. We're all paying the same things to eat the same things. You know what I'm saying? Part 3, Anna Nicole Smith. So after 4 years of dancing in Houston, Texas, the birthplace of Beyonce, Giselle, Knowles Carter, in strolls J. Howard II. So J. Howard II is a billionaire. And you're not going to talk about my boy Jay. This may be how we know him, but I scoured the internet looking for something negativo. Everybody says that Jay was a hell of a time. Everyone says he was quick as a whip, so funny, so witty. Everyone says he was a great storyteller. I mean, he must have been. He was in the Roosevelt administration in charge of oil. And then he teamed up with the Koch brothers, Koch, who basically were like, I think like Richard Gere in Pretty Woman, just making shmoney. His worth at the time in the 80s was an estimated like almost $2 billion. And his second wife had fallen ill to Alzheimer's. So he had a decade-long affair with another dancer, lady, a very nice lady who actually, when I tell you, if you look up her fashion, her outfits, she was it. She was an it girl. Her name was Lady Walker. Let me give you a little taste of what Lady was up to. That's my girl, Lady, okay? Look at the style. You can't teach that. You're new to this. She's true to this. Anyway, they started an affair and they were together for 10 years. But Jay Howard said, since I am married, this cannot be a sexual relationship. And she said, let's shake on it. So for companionship and returned love letters, apparently every time she returned a love letter from him, he'd send her a check. Can you believe? And I've been doing all this shit for free. But in the span of like 10 years, he spent like millions upon millions upon millions, okay? But she passes away on the OR table getting a facelift. So when he strolls in to executive suite, he's super depressed. One, because he misses his wife, who is no longer there because of Alzheimer's, and his mistress that he loved, but it was more about friendship and companionship, has just passed. And he sets eyes, he says, on like a bubbly blonde. He sees her, asks her for a dance. She says, for sure. And I really think, because people keep saying the word storyteller about Jay Howard, first of all, my Yale graduate angel, let me show you Jay as a young. It's giving Von Trapp family. It's a little creepy, but it's fine. We love him. Part 4, Anna Nicole Smith. So people say, like her inner circle, her colleagues, her people say that she developed a really big crush on him and that she would spend hours on the phone with him, and her nickname for him was Sugar Booger. I never needed to know that, but that's okay. So all the while, Jay Howard II has 2 sons, Pierce and Howard III, okay? And they hear about her and they're immediately, because he's 87 years old and they want it. So they confront their dad, and their dad's like, I'm not going to stop seeing her. She makes me enjoy life again. After 7 days of knowing her, he proposes to her. And I need to tell, we'll come back to that, wait. So when she meets Howard II, the billionaire, during that time, she's madly in love with this woman. She would frequent gay bars, and apparently one day she walked in, she met Sandy, who sold garden tools. Excuse me, garden supplies. It's an important job. You want to eat the fat of the land. You're gonna need your supplies. I salute you, Sandy. And apparently, Vicky Lynn was very, very romantic. She would show up to Sandy's house in a white limousine with a bunch of gifts and flowers. And after a few days, everybody's in love with her after a few days. And I'm here collecting funny memes and gifts to improve, whatever, it doesn't matter. After a few days, Sandy moves in with her and they exchange rings and they're like, we're gonna get married. Also, apparently Vicky Lynn was very open about always having numerous boyfriends, girlfriends, lovers. So she's with Howard II, she's with Sandy, and a few other people that we learn about. There are characters to this play. So a week after Howard II. You know what? I think about being one of his sons, even if my dad wasn't a billionaire, but I hear this and I go, okay, wait, let's take a step back. Let's heal. You know what I mean? Takes her to his infamous, favorite restaurant. I read it everywhere. This was his favorite restaurant. He ate there every day. He took her to Red Lobster, one of the wealthiest men in the United States, took her to Red Lobster and proposed to her. And she said, no. She said, if I'm going to get married again, I'm going to be self-sufficient. I want to make sure that I'm taking care of me first and I'm established in the way I want to be established and that I can take care of Danielle. During this week, Howard II buys her a convertible, a ranch, and Arabian horses because a ranch needs horses. And she's an animal lover, so she doesn't say no. Who would say no? Would you? Would you say no? Would you say no? And she says this is when she became really obsessed with jewelry. I'm sure you were. I'm sure. Part 5, Anna Nicole Smith. Okay, so she's on a ranch in a convertible. And one of her other boyfriends is like, let me take some pictures of you and we can submit it to Playboy in Houston. Some scouts in Houston. So they take pictures of her and they send it over. The next day, she gets a phone call. And they're like, hey, we hate the blue eyeshadow. Rude. Whatever. I hate your face. Blue eyeshadow is a moment. Have some vision. Have some taste. But we'd like to shoot you for Playboy. Insane. So she's a Playmate, 1992. I encourage you to give it a Google. There's no way in Heckers I can put those pictures up here. When I tell you she's a 10 out of 10, she's a 16 out of 10. Insane. I can throw up this one, I think. Well, let me make sure. I can throw up. But this doesn't even do justice to the foot. Perfect. Immediately her life changes. People are obsession with her. She is obsession. Goodbye. Who looks like this? I'll tell you who. Vicky Lynn. So Playboy comes out. 1992. I remember I was 2 years old. And Paul Marciano of Guess sees it and requests a meeting with her, okay? He's like, let's do a makeover. Gets her hair done up, does her makeup, whatever. She says that when she walked back into the trailer to talk to him, that his mouth opened. She's like, oh, okay, I think he likes me. And she becomes a Guess girl. But he says, we can't do Vicky Lynn, which is curious to me because when Playboy came out, did they introduce her as Vicky Lynn? I can't find anything, but whatever. So they're like, let's change it. And they both come up with Anna Nicole Smith. So from that moment on, she was Anna Nicole Smith. Isn't that crazy that Guess helped create Anna Nicole Smith? I also want to say 1992, 1993, 1994, this is a different time in fashion where you had to be, you know what I mean? The Kate Moss cheekbone. So people see this woman, she's tall, she's curvy, she's herself. She's not afraid to be funny and dorky. And she really becomes a figure of empowerment. People loved her. Men loved her, but women were also yes. I did see this one quote from an ex, and I was like, oh, she gotcha. That he was like, she was really good at pretending like you were really special. Yikes, get over it. Go talk to somebody. Her advertisements for Guess actually caused car accidents. Norway, the government in Norway had a debate on whether to take it down because of the car accidents when she was on a billboard. Power. Part 6, Anna Nicole Smith. So she's a phenomenon, okay? William Morris signs her, which is like the biggest agency in the world. And she starts having like little parts in movies, starts with like one line, you know what I mean? So she's like dipping her little toesies in acting. She starts doing appearances. Pero por qué estoy en San Jose? She starts doing little appearances in talk shows, like she was on the Arsenio Hall show, where he's creepy. I watched that interview. You're creepy. What was the name of that movie? It was something like Hoodsucker. And he was like, what movie? And she's like, Hoodsucker. He's like, I just want to hear you say suck. Enough. Take a cold shower. Come back when you're ready. But if you watch those interviews, the sparkle in her eye, like she's so excited. She's like, and I feel it. I'm excited with her. I watch like, you're really doing it, Vicky Lynn. The problem is that Anna Nicole Smith knew that her body was her ticket, right? That people were like, saw her as this like Jessica Rabbit figure, right? This Marilyn Monroe. The problem is that her back problems, because of her breast augmentation, her back could not handle it. So she started to experience serious back pain. So doctors started giving her pain medication. And that's really where we start to decline. So she's on this pain medication for her back, and she suffers from terrible migraines. So she's on a mix of Xanax and Klonopin, I think. Excuse me, Vicodin and Xanax, right? So she takes Vicodin during the day, and at night she takes the Xanax. Soon after, she ODs, right? And she goes to the hospital, and the media goes insane because the Marilyn Monroe comparisons are already like starting, they're revving up, right? So this is even more like, oh my God, our Marilyn Monroe suffering from drugs. And so she has to continue doing appearances being like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I just made a mistake, you know what I mean? She even rented Marilyn Monroe's old house. She was obsessed with Marilyn. I mean, we all are, but like, she was like, I want to be Marilyn Monroe. She said once, she's like, I used to watch Marilyn and wish she was my mom. Actually, here's a picture of Vicky Lynn with her mom, Virgie. I also found this photo. The protective hairstyle. The hair damage must have been nuclear. Whatever. So this is when the media started really firing up the dumb blonde conversation. And like Jessica Simpson, we've heard it a million times, the public liked it, so I kept it going. But she's not stupid. You can't be that funny and be stupid. Sorry. So another 4 years go by. She's doing these little parts. She's in Hollywood, appearances, partying. And Howard II asks her to marry him again. And she says, you know what? I'm established. Let's do it. Part 7, Anna Nicole Smith. Stunner! Stunner! Look at it. Look at this. Beautiful, beautiful angel. So after 4 years, I think people, when they think about her, they just see the wedding dress in their mind. You know what I mean? We're going to show the photo in a second. Like, she met him and she was like, she waited 4 years. He courted her for 4 years. Can you imagine the jewelry? I'm sorry that my mind went there, but Arabian Horses week 1, year 4, crown jewel. I got this in Morocco and my whole arm smells like pennies. I don't want to talk about it. So we all know this photo. Actually, a detail I think about all the time is that she wanted him to stand up and he was like, honey, I can't. She's like, it's okay, I'll hold your hand. Is that the bare minimum though? Is that just kindness? I'm in a good place. Well, people say that she really doted on him and that he made her laugh a lot. I love you, Howard II, I really do. She was 26 and he was 80. It was in the 80s. She really wanted a baby. So they started consulting fertility clinics. And when his sons, Howard III and Pierce, heard about this, they lost their noggin. They're like, because they're thinking of inheritance. I mean, I could see their side, but I won't. 4 months after they get married, Howard II gets incredibly ill. Excuse me, I cut myself off. Rushed to the hospital. When he gets sick, she's filming in Vegas. By the time she gets over to Vegas, his son Pierce now has the power of attorney and has made his nurse his primary caregiver. So every time she visits, they only allow her 30 minutes. And her friends say that she used to bawl to them and be like, I miss my husband. Was it a sexual relationship? No, I don't think so. Was it a really deep friendship? I really, truly think so. Don't call me stupid. July 1995, his health starts rapidly declining. So this is 4 months after they got married. Howard II passes away 18 months after they got married. So during that entire gap, they cut her off financially. She was scraping by, right? And she would bawl to her friends, sobbing, saying like, if Howard knew, if Jay Howard knew what they were doing to me, they'd be furious because he promised he would always take care of Daniel. This photo, however, makes me die laughing. Can you imagine being his son, trying to inherit billions of dollars, and you see this photo? I'd be like, oh fuck, dude. How am I gonna compete with that? Like, so he passes, and Anna Nicole Smith and his family get into a huge argument about what to do with his remains. His family wants cremation. She wants a burial. Part 8, Anna Nicole Smith. So J. Howard II passes, and the family has a disagreement on what to do with his remains. She wants a burial. The family wants a cremation. So they take it to court. So this poor body is just waiting forever. And then she finally concedes. She's like, it's been too long. Let's just cremate him. But the family's like, you can't come. So she's like, so I'm going to have 2 funerals then. And they give her a little bit of his ashes, right? During the funeral, she wears the wedding dress. It's not funny. Stop it. What's funny is she's like, I want to dedicate a song to him. And she sings in front of everyone. She sings The Wind Beneath My Wings. And I love Bette Midler. I get it. I get it. Also, the media frenzy, you cannot imagine. You cannot imagine. People are obsessed with this. It's like the scandal of the century. And she's very much painted out to be this insane gold digger that will stop at nothing to torture this family, when that's truly not the truth. His son Pierce is the sole beneficiary in his will. He did not leave anything to Anna Nicole Smith, Vicki Lynn Hogan. No relation to the Hulk. She is not on the will at all. Pierce gets everything, all 1.6 billion. There's nothing in the will about Anna Nicole or Daniel. What's interesting though is in the will, he also didn't leave anything to his son, Howard III. So Howard III and Anna Nicole Smith team up and they sue Pierce for a piece of the pie, the piece of the humongous pie. And Pierce is like, no. And they're like, no. Come on. This is also when she starts doing movies that her agents are like, please don't do this. But she's like, this is a different part. This isn't a bimbo. You know what I mean? This isn't a place where it's like all about my body. Like I actually have a part, like in one movie, she plays like a spy and like she gets like an actual part. A lot of these movies were only premiered not in the United States, like in other countries. Because of this disagreement, William Morris drops Anna Nicole Smith. Soon after this, one day, her implant exploded. She's rushed to the hospital. So she's dealing with back problems, issues with her implants. She's starting to have seizures and also being prescribed methadone and Klonopin. These doses were so high that she slips into a coma. When she came out of the coma, she could not walk or talk. She had to relearn how to walk and talk. She comes out of the hospital. She was there for a while. She comes out with the hospital bills and the legal bill, like the lawyer, whatever. She has to file for bankruptcy. Is this Anna Nicole Smith part 10? Look at us, speeding through. So Anna Nicole Smith files for bankruptcy. Look at this picture of her and her son Daniel. Gorgeous, stunning. The court finds that Pierce and his legal team are conspiring against Anna Nicole to ensure that she doesn't get any part of the inheritance. And she is awarded $474 million. 400. She then does an episode of 2020. And on the episode, the interviewer is like, listen, I'm not trying to like berate you. I don't want to abuse you, but there are going to be things that I'm going to ask you that the public is wondering. And she's like, okay. If you watch the interview, she's like really, reserved. She's nervous. You can tell she's nervous. And he's like, so the marriage wasn't a sham. And she's like, she starts crying, and she's like, no. And she's like, can we stop the camera? She's like, I love my husband and I miss him every day. But then after that interview, people are like, oh, she's an actress, so which is it? So she's a good actress now. Because when she was acting, it was like, ha, 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 ha. But now she's what? Oscar nom? She's Meryl. Okay. Around this time, she starts to gain a lot of weight. And as women do, we fluctuate, okay? So the media gets paparazzi pics of her and are like, oh, she's spending all the money, she's partying, she's drinking. And she later comes out and she's like, no, I was holed up in my house because I was having panic attacks and seizures and suffering from depression. Pierce appeals the judgment from the bankruptcy courts in Texas. And in 2001, she's back in court, right? She starts off the trial super confident because she's got money in the bank to ching, you know? And everyone's like, yeah, what a dickhead, this Pierce guy. But I truly feel that her legal team did not train her to take the stand. She was way too real. She was way too honest. And she looks like a deer in headlights. Pierce's legal team, obviously he did not get some, like, nobody, big names, frustrated her on purpose. They would ask her dates. What date was this? What date was that? And she's like over and over, I'm not good at dates. I'm not good at dates. I'm not good at dates. And she gets hyper frustrated. You can see her get super frustrated. And it's understandable, but obviously in a court of law, different rules because hell. She even brings pictures of J. Howard II to court and people are just like unfazed by it because she's labeled this like actress gold digger at this point. At one point she starts crying. She tells the lawyer, screw you, Rudy. Screw you, Rudy. It feels good to say. Fuck off, Rudy. But he did interviews where he was like, I'm going to make sure that at the end of this trial, you're not going to think she's some poor broke girl from Texas. Okay, now this is part 10. This is part 10, Anna Nicole Smith. We're back on track. I can count up to 10. So the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit subsequently throws out her entire award. They claim that the bankruptcy courts in the lower courts had no right to award her that amount since it had already been decided in Texas state courts, right? They're like, you can't flippy floppies. It was decided. And Anna's like, wait a damn, what? So imagine this. It's just the toll, plus, you know, being a mom, plus, you know, trying to have a career, plus the back pain, plus already the dependency on these medications that she's taking, and now the legal fees. She needs money. She needs cash, okay? So she agrees to do a reality show. So she starts filming the Anna Nicole show, and the first season, like, wildfire. Everybody's watching it. And I think it's because people got to actually get to know her. And she's funny. And she's pretty like fuck it energy. She's like, whatever. And she's friendly and she's loving and obviously obsessed with her kid, Daniel. But like, it was art. I'll show you like an intro clip.
People are always asking me what I think about Texas. Well, I love Texas, but it looks a whole lot better in my rearview mirror. Anna Nicole. But born in Texas, struggling, saving, trying to get something. Then you use what you got, and that was a lie. You became a household name, married a billionaire. So he was 88, all disappeared as fast as the day. Anna Nicole. You're so outrageous.
The other day when Anna was asleep, all hell broke.
The man you just saw was her lawyer and stalker, her lawyer, Howard K. Stern. We'll get back to him in a second. Remember though, at this time, reality shows are pretty new, like, especially when they're about like families and people. So we had The Real World where it was like a group of people and like hitting camera, whatever. But like the Osbournes, Jessica and Nick, newlyweds, like this was relatively new. The second season plummets in ratings. First season skyrockets, excuse me. Second season plummets before the third season can ever happen. It's like scrapped. And she really disappears for a while. And then the TrimSpa years come. So part 11, Anna Nicole Smith. So now, trigger warning, we're gonna talk about diet culture. TrimSpa was like a pill. I don't know, how old was I? I was a teen. So like I don't really remember much about like how you take TrimSpa, but I knew that like you go to like a drugstore, you know what I mean, like a CVS, well, Eckerd, or like a Walgreens, you know what I mean, and get diet stuff, kind of like Slim Fast, okay? And these like diet things, these like accelerators or whatever, had a bunch of celebrity endorsements. Like Carmen Electra did a bunch. This is her bodyguard, remember him, and that's Howard over there. She was always with these people. Okay, so she claims that with TrimSpa, she lost almost 70 pounds. Enter Larry Burkhead. So Larry Burkhead is a local photographer in Kentucky, and she goes to the Kentucky Derby. There's actually footage of when they meet, and she like calls him over and she kisses him. Like she's sitting at the table and she's like, "Come," and they kiss, and he says that like she called him over, they got a little handsy, and her friends say that right after she called him, she was like, "I met a guy," and she was so smitten with him. Later on, he is asked to work an Anna Nicole Smith event, and it's at a kids camp, and he said that watching her interact with those kids, you can find the pictures online, they're so cute when she's playing with all these kids. She really was a mama. Like even when she was taking care of Jay Howard, like she was good at, like, remember what her spiteful ex said, like she was good at pretending that you were special. I think that she thought everybody was special and she didn't know how to spread it, you know, that she was so, you know. So at this kids camp, he's like, I saw a different side of her, and within a week, of course, what was it? It's sad Libra, babe. Within a week, he was already moving in, and they lived together. But he said it was weird because she lived with her assistant, Kim, her son, Daniel, and her lawyer, Howard. And apparently Howard was much more than a lawyer. He was also her publicist and her agent. And whenever I hear those words, it's like Brittany Murphy with Simon. Whenever I hear somebody being all encompassing like that, I think control and obsession, a user, a succubus. I'm sorry, I'm just like really resentful about the way that things were handled, and we're going to talk about that, but I'm very angry. Larry says that he has always believed that Howard was in love with her, and Howard would whisper in her ear, like, you know, he's only after you for your money, and it would cause huge fights between them. And it's been accused that Howard was feeding her pills. Part 12, Anna Nicole Smith. So, enter the 2004 AMAs. Larry, her boyfriend at the time, says that the night before she suffered a seizure, and he advised her, like, please don't go tomorrow, but her team was kind of like insistent, and it was going to be her big debut or whatever. It's supposed to be really exciting for her. And she goes up to announce an award, not to announce an artist. Wait, after I show you the video, you're not going to believe who she's talking about. I don't know if you remember, but I sure do. I'm going to show you the video, and I want you to know this circulated everywhere for months.
Like my body. I was honored to be on our next performer's new video. And if I ever record an album, I want this guy to produce mine and make me beautiful duets. 'Cause he's freaking genius!
The artist she was introducing is Kanye West. Isn't that crazy? So the media kind of like let this one go. Just kidding. It was madness. It was like, oh my God, Anna Nicole Smith is off her rocker, which people love. People have been trying to prove that she was nuts for so long. You know what I mean? Fuck what she's going through. She's crazy. We can all admit that that's strange. Like, it's strange behavior, especially watching that live and being like, oh my God. Watching that back, though, I do hear the audience cheering, and I don't know why I feel like it was cruel. I don't think it's their fault. but it does feel like they're watching like a circus animal in some way. After this, her trial, her appeal, goes to the Supreme Court. Remember Pierce? The one with the inheritance? Okay. It drives me insane to know that RBG met Anna Nicole Smith.
This case concerns the claim of petitioner Vicki Lynn Marshall to share in the large fortune of her deceased husband, J. Howard Marshall.
That's crazy, right? Soon after this, Anna Nicole finds out she's pregnant, okay? Larry and her are ecstatic, except Howard gets into her ear, cuts off all communication with Larry, moves to the Bahamas, calls him, says, "You're not the father, stop fucking calling me, I never want to see you again." And you know what? When somebody is under the influence like that, it's not hard to manipulate them. It's not hard to convince them that what they're seeing is not real. And that is considered what rhymes with abuse. Yeah, obviously. So she moves to the Bahamas with Howard, where she becomes a legal resident and leaves Daniel to live with one of her best friends. And her friends say that Howard wouldn't let, allegedly, her talk to them, that it was always a rushed phone call, and that she was always like, I gotta go. And they assume it's because Howard was coming inside the room. She gives birth to their daughter, Danny Lynn, and marries Howard K. Stern. Okay. While giving birth to her baby, Howard K. Stern films everything. He sells it, and the media plays it for days and weeks. When she has her baby, Daniel flies from LA to meet his new sister and be with his mom. She's there for 5 days. On the 5th day, Daniel is sleeping in the hospital room, and Howard is as well. And a nurse passing by sees that Daniel, her son, gets up to care to his mom, you know what I mean, tuck her in, talk to her, whatever. 9:30 a.m. that day, 5 days after she gives birth to her baby, she goes to wake up Daniel, but he won't wake up. So she tries again, and he's cold to the touch, and she realizes that Daniel is not with us anymore. I truly cannot imagine. In Touch Weekly somehow gets their hands on photos of Daniel. I'm not going to show the photo. Somehow, you can look it up yourself. I won't. Somehow gets their hands on a photo of Daniel meeting his baby sister and with his mom. So it's like Daniel, baby sister, and mom holding it. And they run wild with it. They buy it for an undisclosed amount. I wonder who sold that photo. Obviously, people are like, how do you die in a hospital? Like, what's going on? The autopsy comes back. It was a lethal dose of Lexapro, which he had been on for years. Xanax, because he had, was it Xanax? Zoloft, because he had flying anxiety. And methadone. To this day, no one can confirm how he got his hands on methadone. While all this is happening, Howard K. Stern goes on Larry King to tell the world that he is the father of Anna Nicole's baby. Part 14, Anna Nicole Smith. So obviously Anna Nicole is in a deep, deep depression. Her son passes away, the media frenzy, apparently still very heartbroken over Larry. Also, she's a new mother. She wants to be a mother to this beautiful baby. And the hormones that come after giving birth to the baby, I can't imagine what this woman is going through, okay? So she's in the Bahamas with Howard K. Stern. Speaking of Howard, what's the name of that guy? The guy that does the radio shows? Howard. Oh, it's Howard Stern. So Howard K. Stern is her new husband. But Howard Stern, the radio host, I will never fucking forget that when her weight was fluctuating, you brought her onto your show and asked on live air if you could weigh her. You're disgusting. So she's in the Bahamas with Howard K. Stern. She's also with her bodyguard and her very close friend, who happens to be a psychiatrist, Dr. Rozovich. Rozovich? I'm probably not saying her name correctly, but I'm just going to call her Dr. Friend. This is her. And I just want to say, side note, if you are somebody, I don't care how you party, okay? But if you're with people who push pills on you or just let you do whatever when it comes to prescription medication, those people are not your friends. They don't care whether you literally live or die. please recognize that these people do not care about you, okay? Moving on with Dr. Friend. So this woman writes Anna Nicole a lot of prescriptions, a lot. Very dangerous, and her supposed friend, who's supposed to be there for her while she's mourning the death of her son, did not regulate any of it. Anna Nicole Smith during this time tries and succeeds to befriend locals, and she makes some really, really cool friends. This is a couple that she befriended. This is Taz, I believe his name is Taz, and Brigitte, okay? And she refers to them as mom and dad. She actually says mommy and daddy, but of course I can't say that on the internet because everyone has ruined it. She buys a boat and tells them to meet her in Florida, where she got a modeling gig, so they could drive the boat back to the Bahamas. On the 5th of February, she leaves to Fort Lauderdale, okay? Before she gets on the plane, she takes one of her shots that she takes to maintain her weight. It's HBH and B12. When she's on the plane, she starts complaining, hey, the left side of my body hurts. By the time she gets to the hotel, she has a 105-degree fever. As an adult, to have a 105-degree fever is insane. If you were looking at me and said, Tefi, I have a 105-degree fever, we're going straight to the hospital. But her people that she was there with, like her little crew, they were like, what do you want to do? And she's like, I want to avoid a media frenzy. I want to stay here. So for 3 days, if you hear a noise in the back, it's because I turn on my air conditioning. That's right, I turn off my AC for you. So I'm just here sweating like the whole time, so you have an enjoyable experience. So it's my turn now, okay? Part 15, Anna Nicole Smith. So she's sick for 3 days, okay? On the 3rd day, her bodyguard says that when he walked into Anna Nicole's room, that he smelled something, and it smelled like some kind of infection. Howard K. Stern says that later on in the day, he walks into her room and she's sitting in the bathtub, no water, confused about where she is. And they said, no hospital. And she's super, super weak and very lethargic, right? That means tired. What? Remember how Anna bought a boat? Okay, so Howard and the bodyguard are like, we're gonna go see the boat. You good? And she's probably like, no, doesn't matter. They leave. Her friends, mom and dad, Taz and Brigitte, get to Florida, and Taz goes to the hotel room, and apparently she is not responsive. He calls the bodyguard, who's with Howard, looking at this boat, and Brigitte is with them at this point. The logistics are kind of messy, but stick with me. Brigitte says, oh, Anna must be well, I'm gonna go see her. Goes to the Hard Rock, goes to her room, and she's not breathing. No one calls 911. Brigitte is begging people to call 911. No one calls 911. Instead, they call each other. And Howard does not call 911 for 38 minutes. Taz says, fuck this, and resuscitates her for tries to resuscitate her for 38 minutes. Brigitte is begging them, please call 911, please call 911. Howard, for the 38 minutes, when he wasn't calling 911, was trying to call Dr. Friend. Mind you, there was a point during the time when they were in Florida that she had to go back to Los Angeles, and Anna Nicole was begging her to stay. She's like, no, I have to go back, whatever. So he's trying to call this Dr. Friend like, oh my God, what do I do? Because he knew. She was on 10 different prescriptions, and 9 of them were from her. The EMTs arrive, they do what they can do, and they take her to the hospital. Someone leaks to the press that Anna Nicole Smith is at the Hard Rock Cafe, unresponsive cafe, Hard Rock Hotel, whatever, the Hard Rock, Seminole Hard Rock, unresponsive. So there's press everywhere. Anna Nicole Smith was pronounced dead at 2:49 p.m. and she was 39 years old. Part 16, Anna Nicole Smith. The autopsy report comes back. She has a lethal dose of 9 different prescription pills in her body. She has a stomach bug and an abscess where she was receiving her HBH and B12 injections. Then, similar to her late husband, J. Howard II, an argument about how to put her to rest, where to put her to rest, starts between her mother and Howard K. Stern. Her mother wants her to be buried in Texas. Howard K. Stern wants her to be buried in the Bahamas. Please look it up. I have never seen a judge sob like that while saying his decision. The judge is bawling, saying, I want her to be with Daniel. She's going to be buried in the Bahamas. So Daniel's buried in the Bahamas, right? Meanwhile, all of this is happening. There's a paternity suit going on, but not between just Larry and Howard. It's Larry, Howard, an ex-boyfriend of Anna Nicole's that claims that he gave Anna Nicole frozen specimen of his to use, and Prince Frederick van Anhalt, who's also very well known as Zsa Zsa Gabor's fourth husband. And when asked about it, he said, well, sometimes I'm a very bad boy. Whatever. So all four of them think they're Danny Lynn's father. Classic Anna Nicole. Juggling them. Sag Libra, babe. Look at this. Oh, let me get this off. I love this photo of them, so I'll just keep it on. Howard Stern's name, Howard K. Stern, is on the birth certificate, so he's legally the dad in the Bahamas. So it's super complicated. Finally, he gives the court a sample of Danny Lynn's DNA, and the paternity comes back that Larry Burkhead is the father. And Larry said in an interview in 2020 that he didn't know how to be a dad. So once, a few hours after the decision, he met the baby for the first time. He had no idea how to feed her, change her, take care of an infant. And Howard K. Stern was extremely supportive, taught him everything, and to this day is very supportive. So all that for what? Maybe he was just tired. He was just like, you know what? Anna Nicole Smith, part 17. So, obviously, Howard K. Stern and Dr. Death Friend are charged with having many prescriptions given to Anna Nicole Smith in their name. In 2011, they both basically say that they were trying to, gets me so mad, they were both trying to disguise, like keep her privacy, basically. He's completely let off and she gets slapped with a misdemeanor. After she passes away, this is what really gets me. Because when she was pregnant, Larry Burkhead has made comments that he was really concerned with the drug use. That he felt that he never saw her do illicit drugs, but when it came to her prescription drugs, that perhaps she did not take the dosage she was supposed to take. Like she would say things, well, I didn't take anything yesterday, so I'll double up today, like things like that. And he was really concerned about her pregnancy. After she passed away, this video surfaces.
Don't know.
It's the infamous Anna Nicole Smith clown tape.
You know how when you're having gas and you feel it and it's like, ow.
The troubled beauty's face is covered with clown makeup, and she seems to be totally out of it.
You sit over them.
Millions have watched this shocking tape, which first surfaced weeks after Anna Nicole's death 10 years ago this month from a drug overdose. The makeup.
That is a video of her that I see mocked all the time. And she's pregnant and she's so out of it that she refers to her baby as gas, and she has to be reminded that she's pregnant. So you can't sit there and talk to me about how you were so concerned with her privacy when she was pregnant with a baby and you were feeding her pills. Sorry. But what really gets me is all of the public abuse that she endured, the mocking, Jay Leno, Dave Letterman, those disgusting jokes. And every time somebody describes her, I've never heard once that she's mean, snappy, moody. It's always kindness, pure kindness. If anything, people didn't like how much people loved her. Her daughter is a spitting image of her, like twins. She was only 39 years old. Anna Nicole Smith is definitely a tragic figure to me. In all of the videos and interviews that I see of her, she looks wounded, like she's waiting for someone to sucker punch her. I don't think anybody should live like that, but I personally find comfort in knowing that she's with Daniel and that Danny Lynn has 2 guardian angels.